In today's video, we explore ruins, legends and remnants of lives lived on an isolated Scottish island. Hello and welcome to Through Lucy's Lens weekly videos where I go somewhere interesting and hopefully you will find them interesting too. My name's Lucy, I'm a social historian and your very nosy friend. A warm welcome to this week's video. I am rubbish at doing introductions. Whenever I get home, I think, you didn't do an introduction for any of those videos. That's because I'm in the moment. So a little introduction, I'm back at home now, but we are going back to Orkney. We are going back to Sanday. We're going to see a little bit of Hoy. And what I would like to talk about in this week's videos are some of the myths, the legends, and some of the spooky stories that always come from remote places like Sanday. And when I was there, I couldn't help become fascinated by the folk tales. And that's what I want to share with you this week in this Halloween episode. Don't really do Halloween, although the interesting social history of Samhain is another video in itself. However, for this week, let's get on myths, legends, spooky stories from Sanday. Let's go. Welcome back to Sanday, one of Orkney's northern islands. This island is shaped by wind, salt spray and centuries of stories. And during my time here, I couldn't help become fascinated with some of the tales I heard. Heads up for this video, my footage may not be as good as usual. We have had to use matte cam for some of this video because I was not climbing walls into ruins, but my husband was happy to do so. This is Lady Kirk, and it's a ruined parish church on Sanday. It stands about a mile southwest of Lady Village and about a mile northeast of Kettletoft. The present stone walls you can see date largely from around 1773, but there's reason to believe that sections may be even earlier. Until its redundancy, the church included a pre-Reformation communion cup among its relics, suggesting that it's even older than that. Today, the kirk is roofless and its interior is overgrown. It's used informally by wildlife and visitors, but its gravitas lies especially in one curious feature at the top of the external stone stairway. Here, there is a dressed stone balustrade. On its surface are a series of deep grooves, 6 in number, which look as if they're scratched by claws. These are locally known as the Devil's Claw Marks. One version of the tale says that a minister in Lady Kirk preached fervently on a Sunday against adultery, yet during the rest of the week they were indulging in precisely that sin themselves. One night, emerging from his mistress's house, the devil appeared to seize the minister and drag him to hell. The minister fled, scrambled up to the kirk and shut the door behind him. Denied entry, the devil, enraged, raked his claws against the stone stair balustrade. 6 deep gorges remain to this day. Scar House occupies a lonely position on Sanday. It's a large 19th century house built as part of an agricultural estate development. In its grandeur, it tells the story of Sanday's hopeful era of estate building, of ambitious owners investing in farm housing and complexes. But alongside the architectural ambition lies a darker layer of a local tale, the legend of the Black Wife of Scar. According to the story, the owner or laird of Scar went on a journey overseas, some say India, but he brought back a wife. In some versions described as Indian, or at least a darker-skinned lady. She travelled back with him to Orkney, but he regretted her presence or feared reaction amongst the locals. In his panic, he said to have murdered or cast her from his vessel or drowned her, or in some versions forced her to travel away in sorrow. But from that moment, the house acquired a curse. The spirit of the Black Wife haunts Scar, wandering around the rooms or the surrounding moors in eternal remorse or vengeance. The building is now empty. It's been vacant since 1994. But nearby the house, in between the house and a graveyard, is the Stone of Scar. In a local folk tale, it's said that the Stone of Scar was hurled by a witch as a punishment or a curse, a supernatural explanation for its presence near Scar. Beyond the legend, however, the landscape around Scar is an archaeological dream. The Stone of Scar lies close to the site of the Scar boat burial. A Viking boat was discovered here in 1985 after a storm exposed human remains in a sandbank. It proved to be the grave of a Norse boat burial, dating to around 875 to 950 AD. Inside that burial were remains of 3 bodies, a man, a woman and a child, along with grave goods, gaming pieces, a comb, a sword, spindles, weaving tools, and even a carved whalebone plaque. It's easy to imagine that the distant moorland and the standing stone echoes whispers of that older past. That context lends weight to Scar's house position, not just as a derelict 19th century mansion, but as a haunted, deeply layered, sacred and ritual place with a standing stone, burial ground and haunted laird tales. As I stood here amongst the broken windows and collapsing roof beams and the ghostly echo of the Black Wife of Scar, gosh, how I wish I could have gone inside this house, as locals told me it was once truly magnificent. Geramount is one of Sanday's more imposing deserted mansions, and I kept seeing it on the skyline and I had to know more about this building. The house dates to the 19th century and it's linked in records to local landowners. This mansion would have had servants, domestic workings, gardens, fences, local economy tied into tenant farmers. Its presence really marks the once significant wealth and social standing on the island of the people who lived here. This building, however, has fallen into decline, and now it stands as a ruin, just in a field that you can walk up to and explore. Whilst not haunted per se, I'm going to read you a ghost story. Let me tell you a story, a ghost story. It's called The Stolen Winding Sheet. One cold, moonless night on Sanday, there lived a farmer's widow who lay dead in her croft house. Her body was laid out in peace, wrapped in a clean winding sheet, a cloth used to wrap the dead before burial. Family and neighbours had come to say their last prayers, and the house was still, the lamp extinguished. But inside the dwelling there was a visitor of ill intent. A man, poor and desperate, believed that the winding sheet had value, a fine linen or cloth that might be sold or used. So while darkness reigned and all hearts mourned, he crept quietly into that house and stole the winding sheet from the bedside of the dead. Days passed, but soon strange things started to happen. Doors that were once firm now shook in the night. Footsteps echoed through empty rooms. The wind howled through the window frames where the dead woman's presence had lain. People said her shape appeared at dusk in the doorway, still wrapped in cloth that was no longer hers. He heard the soft rustle of the linen in rooms where no living breath stirred. And at midnight, the dead woman's face appeared at the window, silent and pale, gazing inward at the house that now housed her stolen covering. The thief, plagued by fear and guilt, attempted to return her winding sheet, but it would not stay. Every time he placed it back, he found it missing again by dawn. And on the night he tried to burn it in the hearth, the flame flared violently and then went out, although snuffed by an unseen presence. Terrified beyond measure, he confessed to his neighbours. The body was exhumed and the winding sheet returned to its resting place. After that night, the haunting ceased. But only just. Even now, some say when the wind blows cold through the ruins of the old croft houses on Sanday, you can feel a soft whimper echo in the walls, the plea of one who was denied her shroud. As the Second World War came to the skies and seas of northern Britain in 1939, even remote Sanday played its part. On the plain of Fidge, close to Catter Sands, was constructed a dummy airfield during the Second World War. The control building associated with that dummy airfield remains, and it's known locally as the Bricky Hut. Although the Bricky Hut exterior, of course, is concrete. The purpose was to stimulate an operational airstrip, run outline signage or signage-like features, lighting simulations and a control room, all part of wartime deception efforts. Elsewhere on Sanday, wartime infrastructure included radar stations such as RAF Whalehead, built from 1941, and associated camps for personnel. Although, of course, no ghosts are recorded here. The hut stands lonely in wasteland, and it whispers to me of a war even here in Sanday's gentle dunes. It evokes the sudden intrusion of global conflict to those in an otherwise tranquil island existence. It's a reminder that it affected everybody. Loch Ness Bay is home to one of Sanday's more visible relics of global conflict, the wreckage of the German destroyer B-98, grounded on its shore. If you wait until low tide, it still raises its head like a black-beached whale, dark and foreboding on the shoreline. After the First World War, parts of the German high seas fleet were interned near Orkney. And at some point during towing or relocation, the B-98 broke from its tug and ended up stranded off Sanday. She's reported to have broken her tow on the 17th of February 1920 and running aground off Loch Ness Bay, Sanday. The majority of the ship was cut up for scrap in the 1940s, according to Archaeology Orkney. And it's still unclear how much of the B-98 remains beyond what can be seen above the sea. One of the guns from this ship is now on display at the Maritime Museum in Lynness, Orkney. This B-98 was one of 2 units built at the Bloem und Voss yards at Hamburg. Completed in 1915, she saw action as part of the 2nd Flotilla in the Battle of Jutland in 1916. Engaged by cruisers and destroyers, B-98 was hit once, losing her torpedo mount, 2 of her crew, and also 11 wounded. Today, what you can see are portions of its turbines and boiler units lying amongst the sands at Loch Ness, especially at low tide. Finally, I just had to show you the Old Man of Hoy. Just off the coast of the island of Hoy, you can see it on the ferry crossing to or from Sanday. It's a towering sea stack rising off the coast of Hoy. Rising some 137 metres from the sea, the Old Man of Hoy is carved by the wind, waves and time. It's a natural monument that has inspired countless boat passings, photographers and storytellers alike. As the ferry pushes through the relentless sea, its gaunt shape seems almost like a silent guardian, watching over those who cross these cold northern waters. When the morning mist clings low around the sea, some say the rock looks like a hooded figure, protecting, watching, ancient, ever-present.
It's genuinely one of the best things I've ever done in my life, let alone for this channel. And I'm so thankful to all of you for making this happen, to Dave and Jackie for inviting me to Sanday, for the people that helped me get here, for you for watching the videos. I'm just amazing. And I'm so sorry about all the wind. This place is beautiful, but my goodness, this island is windy. But it's okay. We can forgive the wind for this beautiful, beautiful place. It's genuine.